Hello and welcome to Trains and Viatic, and we're actually doing a garden railway video. So let's have a title and then I'll tell you what the plan is for today. I'm here by our main set of points on the garden railway, and I have said all of them are going to be motorised. But what I need to know is, will my point decoder be strong enough to throw 2 points? As that point and that point will always be thrown together, those 2 points will always be thrown together, and the 2 down at that end will always be thrown together. So what I'll do is set up a DS64 in the shed, and then we can just check that the point's strong enough. So if we go into the shed now, we can set up the point and make sure everything will work. This is the point decoder I'm planning to use on this project. It's a Digitrax DS64, and this is one of the 2 I removed from the main layout. This I've got 4 outputs, so it means we don't need as long a run of cables. As one of the things we need to consider with this layout is, will the bunny rabbits eat it? As I've got to power bunny rabbits, which you see every now and again, and I don't want them to eat the wiring. So on this unit you have got your auxiliary power in, your trap power in, which we can see just there. Then we have a common as well. Then we have track points out. So you've got 0.1 red, green, and then common, same with there, same with there. And then we have an option of input. Then on the back we have Digitrax and a barrel jack, so you can power it with a barrel connection. So these are really lovely units. What I've done is I have actually printed off the instructions, but when you buy one of these you get the instructions with it. What I want to do is first of all reset the unit to do a factory reset. Then I want to set the points so that for slow motion rather than solenoid, and then I'll try it with 1 point. If that works, I'll then try 2 points on the output. I want to see if I can run it from the DCC bus rather than having to have additional power run into it, and I want to, for the time being, try not to use low connect to connect to it. So I'll read the instructions and then just wire this up so we can then have a quick play. Okay, first of all I'll correct a little mistake I said. By default these are ready to run LGB points. I just didn't read the instruction correctly. I've connected these 2 wires to the decoder, and the first thing I'm going to do is to reset the decoder. Whenever you get a new decoder or changing the use of it, it's always best to reset it. So that's actually pretty easy to do. So you hold down, which button is it? Reset to factory default. You hold the option button down for 3 seconds, and you can now see I got a flashing red light. So if I go into my controller and do a switch 7 and set that to close, that should be working, but I think I did something wrong there. So I'll just press that button again. Actually, I'll power the system off. Power the system on. And that should be okay to set address now. So to set the address is now default 132.4, which is actually what we want for this decoder. But for the other decoders we'll be wanting another address. So I'll refer back to the instructions. And it's say about board ID, which you need if you're doing advanced thing. But for address programming, you press the ID button for 4 seconds. Then you send your point address as a switch command. You can use either throw or close. So I'm going to start off with switch 1, send that as a throw, then switch 2 as a close, and you can see the light switch, switch 3 as a close, and then switch 4 as a close. So you can now see the light have changed on that, and the outputs are 1, 2, 3, 4. Now we can test some points. I have a pile of point motors over here, and I think this is going to be the one we're going to play with. And you've got orange and white on it. So I'll just zoom out a tad. I've made a silly decision here. I got the same colour of power bus as I do for points, but that's not the end of the world. It's not ideal, but it's not the end of the world. So once I got this ready to hook up, I'll show you what I'm doing. So I have stripped the wires on this, and then I'm going to undo the nuts on this and feed the wire in to that hole, and then do it up. And then I'll do the same on that hole. You'll see that you've got 2 colour markers by each hole, and that's to make your wiring easy. So you have an orange and a white. So we now have those 2 connected. That one not that well. So once this is connected, I'll come back to you. I now have the points wired on these 2 outputs. We have power coming in there, and then this wire going to this point. So in theory, if I go into my hand controller and throw switch 1, you can see we're changing for point. Which is one of the important things for the railway. So next thing is to connect a second point to see if we can actually change 2 points at one time. So this means that this point can be computerized, as we're looking at running some computer software to control the railway in the medium to long term. So I'll set up another point and we can see how that runs. So I now have one output being split at this point here. So in theory, if I throw switch 1, and they both change in unison, which means this will work without any problems. So I'll show you the plan on the layout and you can see what the idea is, but I'm very pleased that this is working. It's running off track power, the points are turning together, and it gives us exactly what we need. Not too much setting up, and we'll be able to split the wire when it comes out to the DS64 and send it to the two directions. So let's go back over to the railway and have a chat. So now we know that this DS64 can drive 2 points, we can work out the wiring a bit more. So we would have one DS64 over there which will control that point, and the point down there, over there, which we don't have installed yet. Then we can have a second DS64 placed to control these points. So that will give us that will give us 8 controllable points, or power points. And as I have tested that will run fine off track power, all we need to take from that to feed it is a track power. And we've been working out more on our wiring. So this bit here, it's just going to be non-detected track power, so we can just feed these off of the same feed for that. We're then going to have blocks. We're going to have 8 possible blocks running from down there to over here. So we don't need all the track detected, we just need the tracks where about the train will be running detected. So we've got block 1, block 2, block 3, block 4, block 5, as we're going to have a second point there, so that will give us the ability to change the end of the train. Then we'll have a block running down there, a block running down there, so that we can swap the locos over. And we'll have 8 blocks. We're looking at some 5 core power cables, and then we'll have 2 junction boxes which will be hidden underneath the building, so we must probably have something at the end of the station. We do have a signal box, so that would look quite nice at the end of the station. And then we could have another junction box hidden just here. So we're getting there with our planning. And you can see on the point motors, if I zoom in, all of them have orange and white, so that's going to mean we can make sure we know which colour is going where, so that we have the points changing the correct way throughout. So I'm getting pleased with where about we are. So we're making progress on the Garden Railway. We know our first phase track plan. We now know if the point motors will work. We've got all the trains set up. We got enough point motors. We need to do a bit more shopping. We need junction boxes for the power to connect to the track. We need to level off the track, which I hope to get done in the next week or so. We then eventually need some gravel, and we're making good progress. Our aim is to have the first section of the railway running for when my nieces come over to play. And that was just Soda running away. So we're doing pretty well. I am planning to have this computer controlled. Going to use Train Control by Train Control Gold, 2 versions out of date, because it still works with the hardware I got. So we'll be having shunting routines and other routines. Then once we've got the first part of the layout done, we'll then expand onto that section there, and then we might even expand underneath here. So we're doing pretty well at the moment. I know that we aren't doing Garden Railway videos every week. That's because we're taking our time to get it done. So Wednesday's going to be a model build. That's going to be for Metcalfe Fire Station. Start on that for the board I'm working on. Then on Saturday we're going to be doing some work on that board I got. Most probably fixing down for roadway and making the roadway to look right, and put in for detection for the roadway. So thank you for watching. Make sure to like, subscribe and comment, and I'll see you all on Wednesday for my live stream. Thank you very much, Richard.